Good evening, everyone. I'm back again within 24 hours. And this time again, it's another episode on the enhancement of vocabulary. And today, the letter of the alphabet which I have selected is definitely next one in the row. So it's going to be B that we are going to discuss today. So without much ado, I'll start with the presentation. So I'll share my screen, and viewers, please do excuse me. At times, these slides, they refuse to change, so they get stuck. I try my best to change, but they really, at times they leave me embarrassed. So I'll beg your pardon for that right at the onset. So here we go. Okay. Welcome viewers to my channel once again in the evening today. Very pleasant Friday evening. And here today we are going to learn some new words that begin with the letter B. That's the second letter in the alphabet. And so we know there are lots of words that begin with B. If we take up a dictionary, we'll find there are so many of them. So here I've selected just a few. So let's start. Okay. Now, with these words, my endeavor is to expand your vocabulary by adding these interesting words which begin with the letter B. So, if possible, use them in your next conversation. Okay. Now, bucolic. This word describes a rural or a rustic setting. Imagine a peaceful countryside with green pastures and cows grazing. That's bucolic, a very rustic green countryside. And another statement could be embrace the bucolic beauty of unexplored countryside roads on your next road trip. So it is something which has been unexplored. It's really, really beautiful. Even the majestic cattle, you could say, are bucolic to view. Next one, benevolent. This word has often been heard, and sorry, it's changed. I have to go back a little. Yeah. So coming back to benevolent, benevolent means well-meaning and kind. Somebody like we may even associate it with chivalry. But chivalry is more towards, being very brave. Here, benevolent is not necessarily brave. It is somebody who has a large heart, magnanimous in nature. And so it generally describes people who act with good intentions and they always have a desire to help others. So, for example, we may take up volunteering work or work of volunteers. So, the volunteers make a difference in the lives of others by engaging in benevolent acts of kindness through volunteering. If there is a natural disaster, so all the volunteers, they act benevolent and they try to help out people in distress. Even in the case of donations, you may say, support benevolent causes like animal shelters, children's hospitals, and environmental organizations through charitable donations. So this also is a benevolent activity. Another example could be random acts of kindness. So spread benevolence through random acts of kindness, like paying for the person in line behind you or leaving an uplifting gesture. So all these are acts of benevolence. Okay. Next time. It's got stuck again. It's going back. It's embarrassing. Okay. Yeah. Now, this particular word is my favorite in today's presentation. Brobdingnagian. This is quite a tongue twister. And this rare word means gigantic, immense, or enormous. It is used to describe something that is abnormally large in size or scale. For example, oversized structures like modern architecture is often dominated by the Brobdingnagian designs of skyscrapers, stadiums, and airports. It could be used for big, huge animals as well. The African bush elephant is one of the few land animals that can be considered as Brobdingnagian, with males weighing 5 to 7 tons. Okay, massive food. New York City's Pizza Parade serves huge pizzas, which can be termed as Brobdingnagian. Now, where did this word originate? So, there is an interesting story behind it. Brobdingnagian originates from land, of course, it's a fictitious land, where Gulliver landed. We've all read Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. So Gulliver also lands in a country known as Brobdingnagia, which was probably huge. So from there, this word has been incorporated into the English language. Okay. Another word which is very common, though it's a little long, is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy describes the administration of a government characterized by excessive red tape. Red tapeism, we've all heard about it. So this is a government which is characterized by excessive red tapeism, formality, and paperwork. So it is generally associated also with a high seat of power. Bureaucracy is often associated with imposing buildings and symbols of state power, such as government buildings and national monuments. Okay. Another word is bellicose. Now, bellicose means showing aggression or willingness to fight. It's used to describe someone who enjoys fighting or is always ready to quarrel. The cartoons that we see today, they're so full of violence. We could term them as bellicose. The examples given here, of course, are the end of diplomacy. Bellicose rhetoric and aggression from government officials always often leads to the breakdown of diplomatic relations. Such kinds of aggression, bellicose aggression, will definitely lead to the breaking of diplomatic relations. In the context of war and conflict, bellicose actions often lead to wars and conflicts, resulting in the loss of human lives and destruction of property. You may always go back to the video to see these words again. The cost of violence. Okay, so people living in countries, it's actually going down. Yeah, people living in countries affected by bellicose leadership face poverty, homelessness, and a lot of other problems. So this is bellicose. So the next one is venal. Sorry, it shifted. Okay. So we stop here. Now, banal is the next word in our list today. This means unoriginal, something which is not original or it lacks in originality. It's used to describe something that is boring or commonplace. For example, if we take the reference of music industry, many people criticize modern music industry for producing banal, repetitive pop songs that lack originality. This has, we can easily associate it with our own Bollywood, because a lot of songs that we hear are Hindi versions of very popular songs from the West. Like, for example, 500 Miles was made into Jab Koi Baat Bigad Jaye, and there are so many more. Sandstorm, uh, there are so many more which have been copied. Pop culture. Banal trends and uninspired fashion choices dominate the world of Hollywood, while great art and sophisticated culture are often ignored. So we generally copy banal trends and we ignore the original ones. Language and conversation. Banal speech patterns and cliched idioms can drain the life from conversation, making language very, very discriminating, dull and discriminating. This word belligerent. See, my slide has also tried to show its belligerence. So, countries or people who are aggressive and hostile are often described as belligerent. It's used to describe people who are eager to fight or go to war. Like, for example, the border conflict between India and China has made both countries belligerent, leading to a possibility of war. Sorry, it's a little misprint or a typing error from my side. It should be example 2. Historically, Native American tribes who were belligerent with each other were more likely to gain or lose territory than the ones who sought peaceful means of resolving issues. So, belligerence is not a very positive kind of way to behave. It may land us into trouble and negativity. So that was the end of today's presentation, viewers. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be back to record certain good terms and uh, good knowledge with you. So I'm so glad, and I'm also happy to admit today that in the last about 2 3 days, my number of subscribers has grown, and that's a very encouraging sign for me. Thank you so much for your support, viewers. I hope you will keep supporting me in future as well. So thank you once again. Happy weekend. Enjoy your Saturday and Sunday, and keep encouraging me with your comments. Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.